Hello, 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 and welcome to the Safe for Trap Survival Pool Show. I'm your host, Shawn Stewart, on this October 9th, 2025. Glad to have you on this wonderful October. As this show is being brought to you by our good friends at Splash Sports. Use referral code UUM2IX and you will get free $10. Now, in order for you to get that free $10, you must play a contest that is $10 or more. Make sure that the state you live in that you're able to play Splash Sports. You can download that on Google Play or on the Apple App Store. So while I'm actually doing a retweet of my show on X, by the way, I do have some notes. And by the way, we had a crazy survival pool week, by the way, in week 5. Okay, and I do have the stats with me because last week I forgot to get some paper. So now since I have paper, I'm able to write my notes and stuff like that. And also, Safe for Trap the Survival Pool Show is also audio as well as on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts as well. So if you're watching this or listening to it, I want to say that Survivor Pool is all about strategy. So if you are playing Survivor Pool for the first time, I will always say make sure you always use the lower teams first before you even think about like the top tier teams. Because what happens is when people play Survivor Pool for the first time, they tend to use the elite teams first, and then what happens is that tends to burn them out. By the way, which you don't want to do. So right now, I'm still in my Survivor Pool because one of my survival pools got eliminated. That was the Chargers when they was faced against the New York Giants. That was not this week that's passed, but the week before that. And I know I'm in one. I know on one of my survival pools is 5 people left. So in this episode, I got the week 6 of the NFL, week 7 of the NCAA, and I'm going to do something different after this. I'm going to give you like the NFL who can score any touchdown on Splash Sports. It's called the Touchdown Streak Survivor. So on Touchdown Streak Survivor, you pick either a quarterback, wide receiver, or running back who's going to score a touchdown. Now with the quarterbacks, in order for you to advance to the next round, if you pick a quarterback, the quarterback has to run. So if he passes, that will not count. Now with the running backs and wide receivers, they can either get it by rushing, receiving, or kickoff or punt return. I'll explain to that after I do the survival pools for NFL and NCAA. All right. So I got the notes with me as well. So here's the information. So week 5, like I said, was like a crazy week for survivor pools. So the most popular picks that happened in week 5 were the Arizona Cardinals because one of their cornerbacks was injured Saturday. Then the LA Rams lost to the San Francisco 49ers on Thursday Night Football. Both of them lost in week 5. And then also the Buffalo Bills lost to New England on Sunday Night Football. That is causing an additional 756 entries to be eliminated in the Circa pool. I don't have any information on the Splash Sports. Now, 7,758 customers were eliminated, reducing the field from 12,404 to 4,646 survivors for week 6. The combined losses of the Cardinals, Rams, and Bills eliminated well over half of the entries in the Circle pool and significantly impacted many other survivor pools across the league. Yikes. Now, according to OddsChecker, week 5, 55% of entries were eliminated. Goodness gracious. Now, specific numbers, more than 6,600 contestants were eliminated from the Circle pool in week 5, including 3,524 with the Rams and 25.4 of the remaining contested on the Cardinals, according to Yahoo Sports. Now, on the Pool Genius Survival Bowl, that is a invite only contest. After week 4, 52% of entries were still alive, according to Pool Genius, Now, after week 5, only 23% of entries remain after a massive wipeout week. Yikes. Now, with the early elimination, over half of all survivor pool entries are typically eliminated by the end of week 4, according to Pool Genius. Let me turn the mic up, by the way. All right. Let me turn the mic up. So let me repeat that again. So according to Pool Genius, over half of all survival pool entries are typically eliminated by the end of week 4. By week 5, in many pools, the number of remaining contestants drops significantly, with popular teams often losing and causing high elimination rates as seen this year. Oh my goodness, that is a lot. That is a heck of a lot. Yep, that's about it. That's about it. So, as a matter of fact, I actually got my notes from last week. Let me see if I got it. I got the Big Ten. I got the SEC. Let me see if I got it. I should have it. Let's see. Oh, I do. Okay, I do. I do. Saved by the bell. I do have it. Uh, yeah. All right. So here we go. So when we did the survival pool, on the grid sheet. You can follow it on Patreon. By the way, if you're listening on the audio version, you'll able to the link will be in the description box below. Now, when we did the survival pool for week 5 in the NFL, according to Splash Sports, Buffalo Bills had an 81% chance of beating New England, which it did not happen. So Buffalo lost. Now, with the Colts and the Raiders, I thought that game was close, but the Colts beat the Raiders that bad, as the Colts had like a 76.70 chance of beating the Colts, which they did. And then also, Philadelphia lost to Denver. As a matter of fact, the Broncos had a 33.60% chance of beating the Philadelphia Eagles. Then you also had the Kansas City Chiefs. They lost to Jacksonville, as Kansas City had a 60% chance of beating Jacksonville. Goodness gracious. Also, what else I'm looking at? I'm also looking at some. Oh, the Rams. Now, the Rams, according to Splash Sports, had an 82.20% chance of beating Baltimore. Then Arizona had an 81.80% chance of beating Tennessee. Goodness gracious. And then Tampa Bay defeated Seattle, as the Buccaneers had a 35.70 chance of beating the Seahawks. Whew. What else? Let's see. Minnesota did defeat Cleveland. That was a close game. Detroit defeated Cleveland, Cincinnati, as Detroit was like had like an 80% chance of beating Cincinnati. Now, with the survival pools, you usually see now when I do my survival pool grid sheets, we don't do by point spreads. We do them by winning probability. What else? Let's see. I'm also trying to see something. Trying to see. I think I covered some of that. Oh, Jacksonville. Jacksonville had a 40% chance of beating Kansas City. If I did not repeat that, I'll say it again for those that didn't hear me. Then it was a 50-50 between Miami and Carolina. I would have never touched that game because it could have gone both ways. And then Baltimore, they lost to Houston. As a matter of fact, with Houston had like a 51-90% chance of beating Baltimore, according to Splash Sports. Because that was a one heck of a blowout. Then, as I'm looking at, that's another one I'm looking at. I'm looking at the Chargers. Now, with the Chargers, let me see with their now the Chargers. Looking at the Chargers, they had a 61% chance of beating Washington, and that game was not even close, as the Commanders beat them by 17 points. That was not even. I didn't even want to watch that game. I was like, forget that. I ain't watching that game. Forget that. And then there was another one, and then we'll talk about college later on. But let's do the NFL first. So, as I'm picking all over the stuff. So, as I'm doing the research, by the way, there's a couple of things that I've noticed. Now, as I was doing my research, I noticed that a lot of people are picking the Green Bay Packers. Now, according to Poll Genius, a lot of people like the Green Bay Packers. As a matter of fact, it's 94% of people that actually like the Green Bay Packers. So, according to Splash Sports, they have the Packers a 92.30% beating the Cincinnati Bengals. And if in case you did not know, that Joe Flacco was traded to the Cincinnati Bengals. Oh my goodness, I got a hiccup. Now the only concern is this. My only concern is this. If you're if you got the Green Bay Packers and you blowing, let's say, a couple of elite teams, where are you gonna go from there? Now I could see it like if you just blew one elite team, I could see that. But if you're blowing, if you're going to pick Green Bay, I hope that you save a couple of teams that you really didn't burn. Because like I said, you want to use the okay teams first and then use the elite teams later on in the season because you never know what's going to happen when it comes to injuries and all that other stuff, right? I think I saw something. I think I did a I just typed it in this morning. Let me see because I do have the notes for that. Let's see. Let's see. I think I. Let me see. Nope. I know I had it. No, you know what? It's probably not in the. It's probably in the doggone. Probably in my doggone Canva. But anyway, so you got you got Green Bay have a 92% chance of beating Cincinnati. You got tonight's game. That is the Eagles is going on the road against the Giants as the Eagles are a 75 got a 75.60% chance of beating the Giants. Then you also got Tampa Bay, a home game against the 49ers. Then you got the Rams on the road to play the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the only concern I have with that game is whether Lamar Jackson is playing. Now, if Lamar Jackson is playing, then there could be trouble. That could be like a trap game. That could be a trap game. All right, so here's my notes. So because I knew I had the notes. All right, so if you are going to pick the game between the Cowboys and the Panthers, now the Cowboys offense is rolling, and the con for the Cowboys is the defense has opposing offenses rolling. That's bad about that. Now, as I said seconds ago with the Packers and the Bengals, the Packers are well rested, and they're going to be facing Joe Flacco, who's on the team for 96 hours. I like that one. That's a great stat. Then you also want to look at the Indianapolis Colts because they have a home game against the Cardinals for some odd reason. I mean, they had a nice 2-0 start, and then after that, they just fallen off, especially the game against the Tennessee Titans, like I said. So all three of their losses, I'm talking about the Cardinals, all three of their losses were on last second field goals, and the other shoe might still want to look at the Indianapolis Colts because after this week, that team may not be valuable like in previous weeks. Then you also want to look at, oh goodness gracious. Then you want to look at the Jacksonville Jaguars as a home game against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, they're facing against Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold's been looking great. And as a matter of fact, I'm looking at Jacksonville. Jacksonville has a 54% chance of beating the Seattle Seahawks. I would recommend not taking that game. Then you're also looking at the Chargers against the Dolphins. Now, on paper, the Chargers look, they should win the game, but there are a couple of bad things about the Chargers. Now, the problem I have with the Chargers is that offensive line. That really concerns me. Now, if you pick the LA Chargers, you're going to be picking a team that has a bad offensive line. And we already know about the Miami Dolphins situation is, of course, Tyreek Hill is injured for the rest of the season. And look, this team is so bad that they need to start all over. I mean, there's no way that I can see this team like going for this whole roster for the upcoming season. I just don't see it. All right. So then you can also look at the Patriots and the Saints. Patriots beat the Bills on Sunday Night Football, and I gotta tell you, our people are overstating the Pats because I'm looking at New England with their schedule. New England has a 62% chance of beating the Saints. And if you don't want to use the Patriots, you can look at week 7 on the road against Tennessee, week 8, Cleveland, week 11, a home game against the Jets, week 13 against the Giants. That's another home game. And then week 18, that's their last game. That's a home game. So you can use either use New England on 7, on week 7, week 8, week 11, week 13, 17 and 18. So there's a couple of weeks you can use New England, but like I said, anything can happen because when I said this before and I'll say it again, when it comes to survival pools, I think of it as like a stock market. Like one week they'd be like okay, and then the next thing they'd be just average. Then also you're looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers. As a matter of fact, the Pittsburgh Steelers has a good defense against an overmatched day 2 rookie quarterback. And if I'm picking Pittsburgh, I got to be worried about that Cleveland defense, and I also got to be worried about Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers is not the same quarterback like he has in previous years. Okay, and then with the Tampa Bay and San Francisco, now Baker Mayfield is playing league MVP, and 49ers are wounded. Now, the 49ers, I'm not worried about them in survival pool because 49ers, they have the easiest schedule. So you can actually save the 49ers like later on in the season. So I'm not going to be tripping that, hey, you know what? I got to use the San Francisco 49ers right now. So I'm not too, what's the word I want to say? I'm not too worried about that. I'm not too worried about that. So, and I also do have your potential updates, potential upsets for every conference for NCAA football survivor pools. I do have the notes with me as I'm looking at it because, matter of fact, I love this new. Matter of fact, I love this new paper I bought. This paper is actually legit. Okay, let's see. Because it's better than the other one that I had. Okay, here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one conference at a time. So let's start off with the Big Ten. So you have 7th-ranked Indiana going to Oregon. Okay, so the Hoosiers do have a chance to knock off the undefeated Oregon Ducks. That could be a major upset, even if Indiana's offense can exploit Oregon's defense, as according to Sports Grid. So when we look at the grid sheet, according to Splash Sports, let's see. I don't. I know I actually. Well, gonna. If I don't have it, I know I got it in my in my laptop, so I ain't tripping about it. So let me go to my laptop because I thought I did download it. Goodness gracious. So let me go to my grid sheet for the Big Ten. As a matter of fact, I'm glad I didn't delete that. So according to Splash Sports, because as a matter of fact, that's why I gave you a referral code UUM2IX is loading up. So according to Splash Sports, it's loading up because we're in week 7, by the way. So according to Splash Sports, they have Oregon a 74.40 chance of beating the Hoosiers, as the Hoosiers have a 25.60 chance of beating Oregon. So keep that in mind. Then you also got a primetime game as the Michigan Wolverines will head to USC, as Michigan has a 42% chance, while USC has a 58% chance. That's going to be a very interesting game. Then another one you have is the Buckeyes and the Fighting Illini. Matter of fact, they give the Buckeyes an 82% chance of beating the Fighting Illini. That's a very great stat. Then you also got Penn State. That's a home game against Northwestern. As a matter of fact, Penn State has a 95% chance of beating Northwestern. Then also you want to look at Purdue and Minnesota. Now Purdue has a 23% because that game is going to be in Minnesota. Minnesota has a 77% chance because right now, since we're in October and then November, that's when things can get shaky. And then you'd be like, oh my God, I never thought it would happen. So please be aware. Then also is Wisconsin. Okay. Wisconsin's going to be facing Iowa. Now, that is Wisconsin's home game because last week they did get their butts kicked by Michigan. So they giving Wisconsin a 42% chance, while Iowa is 58. Because this is not the Wisconsin team that we're used to seeing. All right, so we got that out the way in the Big Ten. Let's look at the SEC. SEC. Now I got the SEC grid sheet with me, by the way. And by the way, if you do have any questions to ask, feel free to ask. Now, the SEC. Now let's look at Missouri and Alabama. Missouri has a 44% chance. That's a home game against Alabama, as Alabama has a 56-50 chance, which I would stay away for that game. I really would stay away from that game. And plus, we don't know what Alabama is, even though they did beat Georgia. You know what I mean? Because anything in the SEC is kind of like a crapshoot. Then you also look at Florida, as they're going on the road to face Texas A&M. As a matter of fact, Texas A&M has a 73.70 chance, as Texas A&M is also on upset alert, as that Gators defense could create opportunities for turnovers, and that is leading to a chaotic SEC race. Then you also have 12th ranked Tennessee, as they're going to face Arkansas. Tennessee has a 82.80% chance of beating Arkansas. Now, while the roll upset over a top 15 team is unlikely for Arkansas, the defense will need to get takeaways and control the tempo against Tennessee high power offense. Because if you notice this season, Tennessee got a high power offense. Then you got 19th ranked Auburn going to be playing South Carolina, as Auburn has a 41-30% chance, as they're giving South Carolina 23. That's a game I will avoid. So that match could be a defining win for Mississippi State's new coach. Oh, that's the wrong one. I'm looking at the wrong one. Silly notes. Well, whatever. So next one we're going to do with the ACC. Now, ACC, you have Stanford and SMU. As Stanford is a winless on the road this season, they have an opportunity to end that against SMU. They're coming off a bye week. Now, SMU has a 90.90% chance, according to Splash Sports, while Stanford has 9.10. Yikes. Then next one, you have Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech. And by the way, Georgia Tech is undefeated. Georgia Tech has an 86.10% to beat Virginia Tech. That game is in Virginia Tech. Now, Virginia Tech did lose to a close game last week and will be looking to get back on track against a Georgia Tech team is playing at home. Then you also got Wake Forest at Oregon State, as Wake Forest has a 50% chance of beating Oregon State. Now, they're looking to build on their comeback win from last week. So, and because that game is on the road, that's going to be a very tough environment at Oregon State. Then the next one we have is the Big 12. Big 12 is we're looking at BYU at Arizona. Now, this is like a crapshoot. Now, BYU has a 50-50, while Arizona has a 49-50% chance whoever wins that game. Now Arizona has been rolling and present a balanced offense attack. BYU has weakness on both sides of the ball and struggle with red zone efficiency. So that's a game I would not take. Then you got University of Central Florida, not South Florida, Central with a C. Now, Cincinnati has a 80% chance. That game is in Cincinnati, by the way. Now, Cincinnati, I got to tell you, they're got to be like the biggest surprise in the Big 12 this season. They won 4 straight games, including the upset over Iowa State. Then another one, Iowa State at Colorado. Iowa State has a 52% chance, while Colorado has a 48. So that could be either or on that. And then I think I saw one in the Mountain West, because we usually don't talk about the Mountain. Well, we talk about it, but it's not as glamorous. Okay, it's not as glamorous conference, because since I'm in the East Coast, it's okay. All right. There was a couple of games. I thought I saw one. The one I did see. Okay, let's see. Let me see right now. Wrong one. Week 7. Okay. San Jose State. Okay. Well, we ain't got to worry about that. Well, I ain't got to worry about that. But there's not too many games. Now, the one I see is Boise State. It's a home game for them as they'll face New Mexico. Then Fresno State is going on the road against Colorado State. Then San Diego State has a home game against. Wait, that's a road game. So San Diego State is going on the road to play Nevada. And then UNLV is undefeated. They'll play Air Force, as UNLV has a 69.70% chance of beating Air Force. So, since I'm doing all this, I do have a survival pool grid sheet on the website. You can also look that on YouTube. The link is in the box description below as well. Now, since I got that out the way, I do have your top 10 NFL. Let me see if I got it with that. I swear I could have. I do have your top 10. I'm trying to look for it right now. Your top 10 NFL players you can use for your NFL. Okay, here it is. I got it. So on Splash Sports, they have a contest called Touchdown Streak Survivor. So if you're going to use a quarterback, the quarterback has to run the football to get that touchdown. So if he passes, that will not count. Now, if you're doing a wide receiver or running back, they could get a touchdown by running, receiving, or punt and kickoff return. So I do have the list of players you can actually use, by the way. So here's one. So you can use Jalen Hurts. All right. So not only that, hey, he could probably get a first touchdown, given his consistent red zone rushing and the Eagles' reliance on the top tush push near the goal line. I could see that. Then you could also look at James Cook, who has rushed for 4 touchdowns in the red zone this season. He is tied second most among NFL running backs. Then you can also look at Jamar Chase, caught 9 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter since last season. That is most among NFL wide receivers. Then you look at J.K. Dobbins of Denver, has 11 rushing touchdowns in the red zone since last season. He is the ninth most of qualified running backs, as he is going against a Jets teams that has allowed 26 rushing touchdowns in the red zone since 2024 season, tied second most in the NFL. Another one you can look at is Ja'Cory Crossett Merritt of Washington Commanders. Rushed for 4 touchdowns in the red zone this season. That is tied second most among NFL running backs. Also, look at T. Higgins, caught 12 touchdown passes since last season. He is tied fourth most among NFL wide receivers. Also, you can look at Michael Pittman, caught 4 touchdown passes this season. He is tied fifth most among NFL wide receivers. Quentin Johnson caught 12 touchdown passes since last season. He is tied fourth most among NFL wide receivers. Then another one. I was going to say Bucking Irving, but I heard Bucking. I think he's injured. Let me check. Because last time I heard he was injured. So we don't even know about. So we don't even know about that. But if he does come back, Bucky Irving does have 8 rushing touchdowns in the red zone last season. He is tied ninth most of qualified running backs, as the 49ers have allowed 24 rushing touchdowns last season. That is second most in the NFL. And another one you can look at is Chuba Hubbard of the Carolina Panthers. He had 8 rushing touchdowns in the red zone last season. He is tied ninth most of qualified running backs, as the Cowboys have allowed 23 rushing touchdowns in the red zone last season, which is most in the NFL. Goodness gracious, that is a heck of a lot. So that is it for today's programming. So we will see you guys next week at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 586 Sports. And just in case, if you don't get to take the time to watch the video version, you can also listen to the audio version on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Okay? And don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter at 586sports.com. That is area code 586, like the number, and then sports.com as well. All right? So you guys have a nice and wonderful evening. Take care.